Today, we're going to be taking a look at the quality of Redbubble's hardcover journals. Hi folks, I'm Chris, and if you're new here, welcome to the open book. Now, I like journals. I use them to write and draw in, and I also sell them with my art on the cover, both in Redbubble and Etsy and a couple of other places. I do have them up through a couple of different services, but I haven't managed to get samples of absolutely all of them yet. So when it was time for me to buy a new one, I thought this time let's do Redbubble, and we can take a look at them together. Now, this video should have information that's useful to you, whether you are an artist who is looking to sell on Redbubble and wants to know about the quality, or if you are looking for a journal yourself that you can use as an art journal. So in general, I think they are very well packaged. I like the bright red envelope and the recycled cardboard and all of that. But Redbubble does something that really annoys me with their packaging. Why is there a sticker directing people to a different artist's shop in my order? I don't expect personalized packaging, but they're actively driving people away from my shop to someone else's. And I wouldn't want that in reverse either. If I had been selected to do stickers for their program, I wouldn't want my shop to be the only one they see mentioned on an item that isn't mine. I have no control over the quality of the art in anyone else's shop, and if the customer gets it and it's crap, they're going to associate my name with it. So I don't know why they do this. If you're an artist, maybe you can combat that by starting to add art by with your name with a link to the shop in some unobtrusive spot on some of the products, like the back of the hardcover maybe. But not all of them. Cards, art prints, there's nowhere to do that without marring the product. If you're a seller, this is a point against Redbubble versus other options like using a print-on-demand provider and selling on Etsy. But that's just a personal pet peeve. Let's look at the book itself. Okay, so this is a painting that I did a couple years ago. Here is the original next to the print. The print has a little less contrast and it's darker, but otherwise it's pretty good. The original was painted on white paper, but this is like it was printed on gray or beige, but still it looks pretty good. I'm not going to take any points off for it, but I would have preferred the color was closer. Now let's look at it from the other side if you're trying to use the book. Right away, I like the size. It's 5.5 by 7.5, so it's a little smaller than your average sketchbook, but that makes it perfect for travel. There's no real smell, which was a surprise to me. I expected to be able to smell the ink on the cover and maybe the glue in the binding, but it's very faint. The cover is very smooth, but not in a glossy, slippery way. It has a texture, but it's very fine. Same with the paper. It's not Bristol smooth, but the tooth is so fine that it feels smooth. It's got some weight to it without being thick. Now, it's a 90 GSM paper, which is a similar weight to normal printer paper, and I was a little worried that might be what this was, but it's a little stiffer and it feels a little like it's a heavier paper than it is. Okay, now this spine is unfortunate. If you look here, you can see it's actually a perfect bound soft cover book that's had its covers pasted into the hardcover. Now, when I saw that, I expected this to fall apart. I'm not going to lie. Perfect bound, if you're not familiar with that term, means that the cut pages are pasted flush to the spine instead of being sewn on, like most hardcover books are. This is the way that most soft cover books are printed, but it's not so common for hardcover. And when it's done in hardcover, it's usually not a soft cover book with a hardcover pasted over it. It'll have its own spine that is directly part of the cover. When it's done well, it doesn't really matter much when it's new whether it is a perfect bound or some other type. But as the book gets worn, these pages may fall out. These do seem pretty sturdy. I wasn't able to pull a page out, but saddle stitch pages are much sturdier. To test the paper, I laid down basically any medium that you might take with you to draw with out in the world. These pencils and pens went on exactly as you'd expect. The paper held up pretty well to erasing. The ink and the watercolor were both a real surprise to me. I expected them to bleed right through the paper, and shockingly, neither one did. The water-based markers didn't bleed either, but the alcohol-based ones, look at this. I don't use markers so much, so that's not a big problem for me, but you probably don't want to use this with your Copics. You could also use this for charcoal, chalk, or oil pastel, but all three of these will leave pigment on the facing page, so I would leave any facing pages blank. In fact, the only real problem with this journal wasn't Redbubble's fault at all. I placed the order as usual and it was shipped out in a timely manner. All good from their end. A few delays, I presume, for the weather, and I'm fine with that. I prefer the delivery people to be safe, even if that means I get things late. It's all good there. UPS hands it off to USPS to finish the delivery. Comes to the day it's being delivered and they mark it not delivered, but that it was handed directly to someone in the apartment offices. And if they'd actually done that, that would be fine. A little weird to give it to them instead of delivering it to me, but our regular mail is being delivered to the office right now because thieves broke into the building's mailboxes, and the USPS is holding up their replacement. So I figure that's why. I'll just get it with my regular mail. Nope. 0 packages were given to the office. I know some carriers will mark everything delivered to meet their absurd quotas for the day on time, and then finish delivering things later, so I'm annoyed now, but I wait. And wait. Nothing. If you can't get to my package today because you ran out of time, I'm fine with that. Deliver it tomorrow. But don't lie about delivering it. My ability to replace it hinges on this information being accurate. The USPS requires you to wait a certain amount of time before filing a ticket for help. So I wait some more. Still nothing. I put in a ticket for help finding it, and they closed the ticket without even contacting me. Then they had the audacity to send me a survey about the customer service I received in resolving my ticket. I mean, really? Now, I'm angry at this point, but there's nothing I can do about it, and I was certain that because it specifically said it had been handed to a person, Redbubble would not believe I had received it. And this is why I'm adding this anecdote to the video, because I want to give a call out to Redbubble's customer service, which was as good as the USPS service was bad. If I had been the sender, I would have been very suspicious, and I wouldn't have blamed Redbubble had they not believed me. But they replaced it immediately without question. There was a little fuzziness in the conversation because I did try to upgrade the delivery service to avoid the problem happening again, and I was willing to pay the difference. And the person I was talking to didn't seem to understand that was what I was asking for. Or maybe they did understand, but didn't communicate clearly back that they couldn't do it. I'm not sure. But that's minor, and I received it pretty quickly after they put in the new order. So gold star to Redbubble here, and I'm adding an extra point in their favor. Okay, look at this. I was expecting the back of this page to be a total mess. Nothing bled through, and the page is hardly even wrinkly. I'm actually really impressed by this. I was worried it might be just regular printer paper, like I mentioned before, given the weight, but if I did a full painting on a piece of printer paper, it would be a soggy mess and bleed through right away and dry all curled up. So bump this up another point. The sizing on this must be why it feels like it's a slightly thicker paper. So final tally. I'm actually pretty surprised by my score here. This comes out to 10 sunflower seeds out of 10. I took a point off each for the state of the spine and for the alcohol markers bleeding through, but then I added one back for the customer service and for the way that it took full page painting. So if you're looking for a sketch journal to take with you out into the world, I fully can recommend the ones from Redbubble. Do you use journals? What sort of things do you put in your journals? Why don't you tell us down in the comments? If you've enjoyed this review, don't forget to put an entry about it in your journal. And if you could like and subscribe, that would be fantastic too. If you really liked this review, there's a link to my Patreon and my Discord down in the description. A massive thank you to my patrons who are listed to one side or the other. I will also leave a link to this journal in the description below in case you're interested in trying out Redbubble journals for yourself. I will be back as soon as I can with a new video. Till then, happy creating!